All right, Cal Sheep, this is the Cowboy Prophet coming at you with more truth. But before we get into the mix, I just want to lay out a disclaimer. I know that our world is going through a lot more serious things right now than talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I know we have our hearts and prayers involved in many things that are going on in our world. And so even though we are thinking about foreign relations, to say the least, I just hope that these kinds of videos can just give us a moment to have a little fun and get distracted and just get a good laugh in a world where sometimes we need to laugh. But I don't mean to do this in any way to demean the seriousness of what's going on today in our world. Now, that being said, Cowboy Prophet coming at you, trying to convince you cow sheep out there who still think Jerry Jones is the answer. 2 weeks ago, I gave you the stats on Ezekiel Elliott, but I know there's still some of you out there, remember, plugged into the matrix who are being turned into suckers because you don't want to believe the truth. So once again, I'm going to give you some truth. But instead of talking about Zeke, we're going to talk about Dak. That's right, Dak Prescott, but his first season back after his horrendous ankle injury 2 years ago. Here's what you need to know. If you were to take the top 10 teams with the best paid quarterbacks last season in the 2021-2022 season, you take the top 10 paid quarterbacks. Number one, guess what? Neither Joe Burrow or the Rams quarterback, good grief, come on, I'm so mad I can't remember, Matt Stafford. Neither one of them are in the top 10. Neither one of them top 10. Patrick Mahomes is number one. Josh Allen is paid number two. And then you guessed it, Dak Prescott was the third highest paid quarterback in the NFL. The third, over Aaron Rodgers, over Matt Ryan, over a slew of other quarterbacks. Only Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen were paid more than Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott's never been to the Super Bowl, much less an NFC championship. But you may be thinking, oh, well, you know, he just first season back, blah, blah, blah. Get this. This past season, they were 12-5. That was the record. Do you know they only beat one team that went to the playoffs this past season? One team. And the one team they beat that went to the playoffs, the Patriots, they got destroyed whenever they played their first game. So when you say, oh, the Cowboys won 12 games, do you know they only beat 3 teams that had winning records? They only beat 3 teams that had winning records. They lost to a team, the Broncos, that were 7-10. And the other teams that beat them, the other 4 teams that beat them, went to the playoffs. So don't tell me, oh, Dak this, oh, Dak that. No, he goes to the playoffs one game and he loses, just like Tony Romo usually did, right? Now, all that aside, one final thing to put the nail in the coffin. Get this. This just drives me crazy, you cow sheep. Do you know that if you were to take all 32 teams last season, every single one of them, from the second team down to number 32, their pay scale for their whole team went from $203 million down to $172 million. The second highest paid team, the entire team, the second highest paid team for all last season, get this, was the Jets. You know what Jets means in the NFL. Jets means just in the season. They paid $203 million on their payroll for a team that didn't even make the playoffs. And then the lowest paid team was around just over $172 million, the Seahawks. And the Seahawks were terrible. They can't even agree on whether or not to keep Russell Wilson now. You take all that, and then also you add Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford. Neither one of those teams were in the top 10 paid teams for last season. They weren't even the top 10. The Bengals were number 13 and the Rams were 23rd. 23rd of the most paid teams of 32 teams, and they won the Super Bowl. But you already know where I'm going. You know what team had the highest payroll last season? Cow sheep, you know it. The Dallas Cowboys. $205 million for that team. And 27% of that $205 million went to 2 players, Zeke and Dak. So once again, it's like my old hero, Randy the Macho Man Savage, used to say, "Oh yeah, a waste is a terrible thing to mind. Yeah." And whenever I think about Jerry Jones, I just want to put him in the ring and body slam him and pile drive him and put him in the figure 4, because you cow sheep don't understand that we're going nowhere with someone who doesn't know how to budget. Until next time, this is the Cowboy Prophet saying bye. Peace.